right, guys. My name is Arun Bumitra. I'm from Los Angeles, and I welcome you all for this event tonight. It's my distinguished honor to be associated with such a distinguished panel tonight over here. Uh, I guess per Gary, we're going to talk about India, Ukraine, and Russia. Causes, consequences, and we're going to give how this thing is all going to end up. It is hard to understand whether the former KGB chief is trying to restore glory of Russia's past empire or neutralize a former satellite that's increasing allied with European democracies. Whatever his delusions, an isolated Putin has miscalculated. Ukrainian fighters have slowed the invasion, which has shown Russian military to be less fearsome than imagined. Instead of bringing Ukraine back into Russia's orbit, the attack has solidified its informal alliances with the West. Instead of fracturing NATO and Western Europe, Russian brutality has brought those forces together. I take back to you a little 20 years Putin has been telling the world the break of Soviet Union was the worst catastrophe of the 20th century. Think about that. Consider how bloody the 20th century was to Russia alone. In World War I, 1.2 million to 2 million Russian soldiers died. In World War II, anywhere between 8 to 10 million died. If you take civilians, 24 million Russians died. However, today, it's the other way around. So folks, we'll go through each one of us. What is the cause? India, Russia, and Ukraine. How do we all fit in? We are all originally from India. And India is getting a bad rap in the press. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know the history of what Indians have doing in abstaining the votes. So I would like each of you to give and go through this. I'm going to start with Vinodji. Cause, consequences, and how do you think this will end?
I think in today's world, when we are entering a phase of globalization, on one side, economy globalized, trade commerce globalized. On other side, what is happening? The Soviet Union broke in 15 parts. I was reading a statement by James Baker, who was Secretary of State at that time when Soviet Union broke. They had informally an agreement that after break of Soviet Union, the Warsaw Pact ended. And it was promised that any country break from Soviet Union, no country will be made a NATO member. Number one. So in today's competitive world, what I think, the decay of Europe is going down because Europe ruled the world by all means, the colonies. They brought all the wealth from the third world countries, all the wealth from Africa, from India, whatever, they were ruled. Second part, they ruled the world by their armaments. If you see the history of World War I, World War II, Soviet was the only country which defeated Hitler. How many people died? Can anybody believe in this world? So what is the role of NATO? If you see the Cuba crisis, when Fidel Castro came in Cuba, he called the Soviets, they came, then the war was diverted because Soviets withdraw the missiles. So why it happened? Because America said, no Soviet in our neighbor. So this is a parallel situation. This is a parallel. That you bring NATO in the region of Soviet and put a pressure on them, and tomorrow, because there are a lot of resources in Ukraine. I have sent an article to Gary, how much Ukraine has the natural resources, oil, manganese. So the fight, the First World War and Second World War was only on resources and trade and commerce. So now we are in a situation, you see, America went to Vietnam, America went to Iraq, America went to Afghanistan. Did anybody in the world condemn them? And all European countries were with them, though it was a false war. I was looking at that incident. General Powell telling in United Nations that Iraq has a weapon of mass destruction. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party joined together in USA to have a war in Iraq. And Iraq, 9 lakh people died. Can anybody answer? Have you taken that crime to the international court? And I can guarantee that there will be minimum casualties in Ukraine. I know the character of Soviet people, the philosophy of those people, whatever the system of government is. We are worried that they don't have a democracy. Do we have a democracy in USA? Sometimes we say, we don't have a democracy in China. It is their model of governance. Can we challenge them? Last point I would like to say that Europe, which all controls all the money in the world, their currency is so powerful. The third world countries, the major population in the world are still in the same situation. So it is a good thing that Russia is challenging, because China is also challenging the Europe. I was reading news today. China is sending aluminium to European countries. Today, there is a news. Second, the European countries never made Ukraine as a NATO member. Why reason? Because they need a gas. America cannot supply gas to them at the price which China supplies. There, still today, the gas is coming from Russia to USA also. Why they don't stop gas supplies? Because it is the economy which is dominant on politics. So therefore, when Putin said that Ukraine should not be a NATO member, then what was the bad to have become? Was it necessary? Ukraine was never threatened for the last 15 years, because the Western countries want to sit at the head of Soviets, and Putin is challenging them. Then first they said to the president of Ukraine, we will help you every way, we will send you forces. They ran away from there because they know their power. They lost the game in Afghanistan, they lost the game in Iraq. So the people of USA, Europe don't want a war. And I guarantee that this war will end. There will be resolution, there will be agreement, and there will be minimum civil casualties in Ukraine. Because the Western media is showing everything, children killed. Did they show everything in Iraq? Did they show anything in Vietnam? Did they show in anything Afghanistan? They never showed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a very good analysis. And I think, Vinodji, you're so right. Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe after Russia.
Yeah.
And during the 10th century and the 11th century, that was the most powerful nation in Europe. I have a lot of friends. I have had the pleasure of visiting Kyiv a few times. I'm involved in Museum of Natural History over there. And so we saw there was a lot of rich culture and heritage over there. I'm going to turn a little paradigm a little bit towards this thing. And Jeevanji, maybe perhaps you can answer. A lot of people are saying that NATO is a lobby for Western countries to sell arms. Would you agree with that, or would you have anything to say about that?
Thank you, Arunji. Yeah, it's a lot of buzzes in that direction, because like that is where they are running their economies. If we can look at the American or European economies, that is based on that runs. They either in the world wars, like or before, they ruled smaller other nations where like they pull up all the money, and that is where. Even this is everything is like now is for the money. Everybody wants to become a bigger and stronger. Before, like either US was a stronger position economically, that is what he take advantages of these things. But now that is a challenge come from the Russia to stop that one, because now and another thing you have to look around that the concept of the government running organization, they are believing in communism. And same thing in China. Their policies are a little more closer. And we can see even look into the China's economy, they can produce as much as if they cut down everything to US, we are going to begging everywhere because we cannot afford anything. Like if even a dollar store, like everything is coming from there, people are making money out of that one. Same thing is like how to make the American or European, they know how to market this stuff. That is what their major thing they do. And in this one, they are pushing Ukraine to become a NATO member so that they can go closer to the Russian border, and tomorrow they can easily break that one. They have a easily break in that sector, so that their leadership be on the top of the world. They can be a top world leader. So now that is why like they are sending the armies, and they are not sending the forces, because like if they know that the forces goes, what is the rebuttal happens here? Like if two people, a soldier dies from Canada or America, there is a big buzz comes to the newspaper. And that is what like people don't see that kind of things. Even like other countries, like we are talking about India too, like we have seen the wars, but anybody is like at one point, we have to start thinking on that. Anybody is considering the loss of the people in wars, who is responsible? Is anything can be done to make it better? We have so much technologies we've grown in and become so things like each and every direction we progressed, but we cannot stop these one. Like this is what like even 5 people dies in Ukraine, or 10 people die, or 10,000 dies. Is anybody going to care about that one? No. Because like that is going to be done. Even look into the today's all the organizations are on smaller level. They are trying to fundraise to support Ukraine, either give them a medical aid or clothes, whatever they needed. But these things are never, countries never thought it. Why cannot these kind of things? We are all educated, but everything we know, but why we cannot stop these kind of wars and put it resources towards the development of the people? But that is not our agenda. Our agenda is to how we can rule that world. Even if you can look into our individually level, in the family, same thing is happening. And that is what this is on a bigger level, that like where we can see that money keeping like or bringing strength to them, like that is what either it is corruption, or like we can use other ways to get these things, and then we can destruct the other part of the things. Hopefully, like we want to see the resolution soon, so that like people can enjoy their life. That is where like we forget about the humanity. We forget about ourselves. Like we forget about like the things we things like even we are if we can talk about the religious point of view, that is going away. They want to destruct the religion, so that like people cannot be united on one place where they can get the information. And these fake information is sent by the Facebooks or like the social media. That is what we start believing in all the things. That is what we need to be working in that direction to rectify for the humanity of mankind, to make it better and make it successful.
Thank you so much, Jeevanji. You know, this is a really, really intellectual group, man. You're talking to you guys are, you know, very thought-provoking. I was reading about American foreign policy by George Kennan. He was a policy strategist. He was the architect of US Cold War strategy. He said as early as 1998, he warned that NATO expansion was a tragic mistake that ought to ultimately provoke a bad reaction from Russia. On the same note, Henry Kissinger in 2014, he warned that to Russia, Ukraine can never be a foreign country, and the West therefore needs a policy that is aimed at reconciliation. He was adamant, Ukraine should not join NATO. And Ukraine, Zelenskyy has been trying to get that. Chimaji, do you want to tell us a little bit about that, your perception about this, when everybody knew yet all these things, the war still took place?
Yeah, thank you, Arni. Yes, I agree. The comment just made by you and Dr. Gupta and Jeevan, everything. Yes, I think Ukraine was induced and instigated by NATO members, and they just played into their hands. That was the only fault because it is not possible to imagine that if NATO comes there and Russia will accept that. So they annoyed the Russia and just played into the hands of NATO countries, whose only interest, as indicated by discussed by my previous friends, is only their economy, their whatever their resources. They just wanted to use that. They have no interest in the people of Ukraine or Ukraine country, and that, just as you said, that that will provoke Russia, and Russia will react. That is also through the intellectual of US policy holder you have just explained. So that is a basically thing that Russia was supposed to provoke, and that got provoked by the action of the Ukraine country by playing into the hands of NATO countries. So that is the origin, I think, of the war. But now where the situation has gone. Second thing you were asking about consequences. Consequences have been drastic. First of all, the people to suffer are people of Ukraine, and we have seen the country, cities have been devastated, and they have been ruined, and even power and gas supplies have been cut off. And you can imagine in the winter when you don't have power and gas supply, even people don't need any bullets or bombs to die. They will die even without that. So that's a huge destruction. Just first they are to suffer, then yes, Russian forces are also to suffer. And economically, all people who are concerned worldwide, it will have its economical ramifications. And especially when we are concerned about India as well. Yes, our people, the students who are all there, and yes, hopefully most of them have been evacuated, or they came out of Russia, Ukraine on their own, but still some students are left over there. And I think Indian people and all are combining together to bring them out. So consequences have been very bad, but that is bad. We can't do because I just read a definition of war, which is we are going. I will just take a minute. War is a
Take your
place
time.
where young people who don't know each other and don't hate each other kill each other on the decision made by old people who know each other and hate each other but don't kill each other. So this is the definition of war. This is what is happening. These people know and they will enjoy. They don't interest. People are dying and they will do. But the end of it, what I feel, where situation has reached and what Russia is going on, it will end only on their terms. When Ukraine will accept that they will won't join the NATO, only then it can end. Whether I think third round of talk is being held today.
Yeah.
If they can accept, it is very good. We hope that it ends there and no further war takes place. But if it continues further, Russia will not budge without that. And I think Ukraine or Zelensky should understand by now that the NATO teams, NATO members have ditched him. They are just supplying him the arms
Yes.
and nothing more than that. He is requesting them to declare no war zone, but they are not no fly zone. But they are not doing. They said no, they can't come into direct conflict with the Russia because they are afraid. Because he is also a tough man guy. If they come into direct, he will attack them also
Yes.
because he's not going to take accept everything like that. So I think as soon as it comes out of today's talk, that's well and good. We hope for that. But otherwise, as longer it takes, it will lead to more destruction. But Ukraine will have to accept those terms.
Thank you, Chima ji. I think
You
we'll
are welcome.
elaborate a little bit more on that. The UN. I think I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. We had the United Nations General Assembly. 145 people voted against Russia. 5 of them for Russia, and 45 abstained. ते अपना हिंदुस्तान ना लेना ना देना बदनाम हो गए कि वो why did you abstain? Our Congress people, Ro Khanna and Jaipal and all this were against India. You mentioned that there were 20,000 Indian students, and in Mariupol, Tel Aviv, there are a lot of Indian merchants, a lot of Indians who live in Ukraine. and they're going, like the Chinese, they're going to face the consequences over there. Harmeshji, could you tell us a little bit about the reason why do you think India's history, being the second largest populous country in the world and seventh largest in the world as far as area is concerned, India is getting a bad rap over here. Could you comment the rationale behind their being abstaining, and where do they fit in this paradigm?
Thank you, Arunji, and thank you all the friends for sharing your views. I think I will go to India a little bit later. Let me say a few words what Gupta ji said and what Jeevan ji said. One of my friends was sharing with me a day or two ago. He said in America, because I was commissioner here for 10 years with the city of Concord, and I ran for mayor. And most of the time, people in the city, they come in front of the city council and tell the city council that somebody has parked their RV in my driveway or in their driveway for so many years, and it is stopping my view. And you should pass a law that they should not be able to park their RV in their own home. And they're telling the city council. Jeevanji, you would know that in your part of the world. So if you are crying for the RV parking, and we are parking all the NATO forces at the border of Russia, and you think they won't react?
That's true, very true.
And the other thing, what is happening, nobody has talked about it. I have been talking about this for a long time in my election, when I ran for governor, when I ran for assembly, that America has very cunning and very shrewd foreign policies. How I say cunning and shrewd? Because they have these structured inequalities.
Yeah.
Invisible inequalities which people are not able to see. Why I'm saying invisible? Because their $1 becomes 77 rupees in India.
Yes.
Now they are talking about damaging the Russian ruble.
110.
Or damaging the other world economies. And they have done it. They have done it in Venezuela. All the Latin American countries, they have done it. In Iraq, they have done it. In Iran, they tried. In Afghanistan, they have done it. In Syria, they have done it. Other parts of the world, even European countries, those who don't agree with them, they try to do something to manipulate the stock markets and manipulate the currency so that their kind of economies go downward. So we need to pay attention to India, especially. I'm so happy that India abstained. Why I'm happy that India abstained? In 1971, we all remember the war with Bangladesh, and we all remember what America did at that time.
Right.
During 1947, we all remember that partition. We all remember 1962, when Russia was trying to defend Cuba or at that time.
Yeah.
And China was attacking India. And at the same time, whenever India tried to kind of assert itself or herself, there are forces, European and American forces, they want India to cave in and become their puppet. Like Iranian Ayatollah Khomeini, the senior, he said at one of the meetings, he said, when devils started talking good things about you, be careful.
Yeah.
Very good.
So we need to be very, very careful. I'm very proud that Indian policy, from the very beginning, we were non-aligned countries. We don't need to get involved in the fight of two bulls. And these are two bulls, Russia and America. And now China is joining them. And more, we have a saying in Punjabi, when two bulls fight, only crops get damaged. So we need to be very careful. I'm happy that India did what it did. And these Ro Khanna and
Pramila
the
Jayapal.
other Kamala, the Jayapal, these people, they are the American congressmen and congresswomen. They need to assert American way of living because they are here. If they don't speak the language of the people of America,
Yeah.
you know, they will be ousted out without any problem. And they don't want to be ousted out. That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I want to congratulate you for running for city council. Please don't give up. Try again. There's a friend of mine called Claude Parrish. He's an assessor in Orange County. Gary knows that area well. He ran 7 times for the State Board of Equalization before he won. So, you know, when you fail, like Abdul Kalam Azad's president said, his first attempt in learning.
Yes.
You know, and when you have no, it's next opportunity. So
Thank you.
Please run. By the way, I ran just for while I'm have an opportunity. I ran for U.S. Senate and I was a second runner-up against Feinstein out of 37 candidates.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That seat is going to be vacant soon.
Well, I know I got 2 votes over here, Gary and yourself, Harmesh.
No, you have my vote too.
Thank you so much.
Arunji, second round kar lo thoda.
Second round. Okay, let me finish over here. 1 second. You know, I know people, I did some research over there about Russian, you know, India and Russian ties. 60%, and that's been said to the US State Department, 60% of India's equipment, military equipment, comes from Russia. So Indians need the spare parts and all. You're very right. In 1970 war for Bangladesh and Pakistan, there was an American warship near the port of Bombay, ready to attack. And America still, till today, supports Pakistan.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, the Indian population is evenly divided between US and Russia. US has 49% favorability rating and India has 47%. I thought, you know, these are just talking points, you know, if you go around. Now, the third round is basically about the next round. I think I was thinking about the consequences of what can this happen. A slight, Americans and Russians are not really talking to each other, it looks like. And you have Anthony Blinken. I don't know if you guys know that. He's originally from Ukraine. So there is a little bias what's happening. And I don't think that's why American foreign policy has not been that successful. I shouldn't be saying it openly, but it is, you know, we have to see, we want to get the facts out there. So as far as the consequence, what I see over here happening, Putin has shown no interest in a negotiated outcome that's within the zip code of reality. So that could change if only 3 things occur. If this military suffers high battlefield cost, if the Russian military suffers high battlefield cost, if the sanctions from the West begin to exact real economic cost, and third, if popular unrest grows. Do you have an opinion, Vinodji, on any of these
I think
scenarios?
all the 3 things will not happen.
Okay, good. Looking into your crystal ball, good. I like that.
No. The point is that the Russia has a border with Ukraine 2,000 kilometers.
Anji.
Secondly, second border is Belarus. Belarus is a border of 1,000 kilometers. It is not Afghanistan where USA went. It is not Iraq where USA went. So when you are in a neighbor, it is very difficult for NATO forces, particularly United States, to go there and fight. And I can tell you, who is guiding the president of Ukraine? It is only USA who are guiding them. Because yesterday, if you see the photo of the foreign minister who was on CNN interview today, it is Secretary of State of USA at Poland border. They are guiding him perfect, 101%. Germany and Europe are not guiding, USA is guiding them. Because Europe has no conflict with Russia. Europe has no conflict with China. I gave the example. There was news that Europe got a lot of aluminium from China, other certain material they need there for factories. It is the USA who's leading them. And I am surprised to see that Republican Party is supporting Putin. Marco Rubio said today that if there is no fly zone, there will be world war. There is a Republican Party is divided on this of war with Ukraine. And third important point is that this president is a Jew. So Israel may intervene because they have interest. They have good relation with Putin. They have good relation with Ukraine. And I think in a week's time, there will be resolution. Because this resolution will be between the Europe, USA, and Russia. And the second point is I was listening to some press interview with Tulsi Gabbard. She gave very nice, she is excellent. She is a very real American.
She was.
I don't believe this Khanna and other people. These Khanna and other people, they are I don't want to use bad words.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
They don't know what is happening. You see, three major powers in the world, India, China, and Russia, together, common issue. China also abstained, India also abstained on the issue when united. But if you see the Iraq war, nobody went to United Nations. Where was the Europe? Where was the England? Did they vote any permission from the UN? No. Was there any UN meeting as they condemned Russia in a vote of this and this? It never happened there. Why? Because United States controls United Nations. And when they don't listen to them, they stop their funds. Trump stopped their funds. So what is happening? It is a challenge to the homogeneity of America. If you see the Iraq war, I met a person, Tariq Aziz, a Chaldean Christian. He came to Chandigarh. Before we had a seminar on that, what is happening in that. I met him. He told that United States has a lot of intervention in Iraq. Perhaps their generals have been bought and therefore our government went away. So, when Saddam was killed, Tariq Aziz went to Vietnam. Later on, he died. So you see the currency of Iraq at the time. Iraq was the best country in the world. Their country was 5 times stronger than US dollar. They finished that country.
Yeah.
Then what happened? Iraq-Iran war. If you see the history of Iraq and Iran, who supplied arms to Saddam Hussein? USA. To fight against Iran. Then they finished that man. They killed him. So this is happening. It's very unfortunate. World order is coming up. China is a challenge to Western world. And China knows that this USA gives something to Taiwan, send their arms. They will never ever do what America or European want is for Taiwan. China will challenge them. Because China is economically strong, politically strong. The Chinese budget of defense is $250 billion. USA budget today is $750 billion. I was reading the Chinese budget, defense budget in the latest party congress yesterday. Their defense budget is $250 billion. So China is militarily strong, economically strong, politically strong. But to talk of democracy, I don't say democracy good or bad. That is one relative term. But their governance model, we always talk that China is doing this thing. There is no democracy. China don't want to go the Russia's way. Russia was divided in 15 parts. Should we do the same thing with China? China leadership will never allow that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vinodji. That was very interesting. I hope you're right. I hope the misery and the suffering of the poor Ukrainians in this harsh winter climate comes to an end soon. I hope you're right. Talking about China's economy, it's only going to get better. The biggest export the United States have is the Boeing aircraft company. Now, Chinese, this Boeing 737 is the most widely used aircraft in the history. Chinese have come with the B919, which is just getting a certification from the FAA. And that was going to take over the world aviation in the next generation. The 200 passenger seater. So the economy is going to get better. well, India is doing the right thing by staying kind of neutral. Jeevanji, same thing and all, same question. How do you think, in your opinion, this is going to end up?
I think it's by the effort of all the people, like if all the countries, bigger countries can play a role, even India missed that opportunity. Like they should have a good ties with the Russia, and they should be an intermediary to bring it more towards the finish this thing and becomes a more stronger leader in the world. But sometimes like they watch their own interest, but like they are more worried about their own elections than they are worldwide things are happening. Sometimes like that also plays a role. And there's a conflict, like we have seen it, like sometimes the USA is supporting Pakistan, then Russia is supporting India, and there is a Pakistan fight between India, and then on top of there is China, and they have a threat from all sides. So they try to keep up with their both hands towards Russia and America, so they don't want to lose that thing or like make one person unhappy. But still, when you abstain from that one, people think like most of they predict like, oh, you are leaning to this one, because if there is a bigger investment or like a trade between Russia than Ukraine, that is why like Ukraine now they are hostaging of students of other countries to take advantage that they can stop the Russia to attacking them. These kind of strategies they are using. And on the other word, like we can look around, then 1.5 million Ukrainian moved to other countries, either Poland or nearby. What is the fault of them? Like look into that. What is the scenario they are going to go through? And nobody is talking about that. About what is the impact on that family? It doesn't matter. They can come to US or they can come to Canada. When you have to start like at your age, you have to start a life at zero. That is not an easy thing. But nobody cares about that thing. Like I think these are the first points is to be looked into that one too. For as I mentioned before, like the humanity, like we have to bring the perspective of humanity and then like look into work towards to make it better. But these are like, unless we left our interest for money or anything, that these things are going to today is between Russia and Ukraine, tomorrow it may be within Germany or somebody, or like US or something like that. There is like we have seen the problems even Conway is in US is going towards Washington. That is becoming a challenge for USA too. Like these kind of things are happening, but like we world need to be worked toward a peaceful resolution and work into the betterment of the mankind. I believe in that, and I think that we need to be work in that direction and give the message to the people listening to us. Like this kind of messages we want to convey to our politicians. As we say, like always, they are divided on. They never done a good job to make it things in the positive direction. They always create a problems and then taking advantages of that problems, either selling something or buying something. That is what like in the world is happening. But we need to think differently to come up with different solutions and peaceful solutions where people can live peacefully and live peacefully.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jeevanji. I think you're right. Modi's done a pretty good job. I was not much of a fan of him when he first became Prime Minister. But I think with the 26 states in India, he's been able to have a decent balance of putting people together. I think, Americans are very much like him as such. However, what happened was that with Trump, he's supporting Trump against Biden. And I think that kind of put him off base with the thing. But hopefully somebody will, Taranjit Sandhu or somebody is listening and we will do something. I think we need some adult supervision over here with these guys. I mean, Putin has an ego. and Biden is getting his things, understanding the situation. So anything can, a slight mishandling in any of the NATO countries, in Lithuania, Slovakia, all the strings can lead to a third world war, man. And once it starts, it'll never stop. I hope I can, Mr. Vinod Gupta ji's prediction, this is going to happen, end in 1 week. I hope you're right. They are having a meeting on Monday, and I don't know what's going to come of it. Chimaji, do you think you can want to predict in your crystal ball what could come up in the next round of meetings between the delegations?
Yeah, I hope that it comes out to be positive, but as I said earlier, that Putin has said very clearly, even he has spoken to Israeli head and to France head, that they are happy to end the, uh, the war, or it may be through the talks or maybe through war, but Ukraine will have to accept their terms. Only then it will end. So he has sent very clear message. And I think they're the advisors of Ukraine, maybe Biden or other everything, for NATO countries, they will have to see reason and have to act reasonably well. They should tell Ukraine what they can do and what they are not doing, because they are still instigating by pushing arms and sending arms. They are asking him to keep fighting and resisting Russia. As long as they will be supporting him to resist, more damage will be done, more destruction will be done. Ultimately, Ukraine will have to accept. As sooner they realize that will be better. That's in the interest of Ukrainian people, first of all, and in the world at large. Because even Russian, US Army, they were planning to send planes to the Ukraine. And they asked Poland if the planes can be sent. And Poland refused totally. That they won't allow their land to be used, because Russia has told clearly, they have warned clearly, any country who will be providing their land for such pay, they will be enemy and they will be at war, considered a war. So nobody want to come in direct war with the Russia. That's why they are just playing through Ukraine, and Ukraine is suffering. They are damaging Ukraine, and they're just prolonging the destruction. The more they are prolonging, more destruction is coming. So sooner these people realize, and if they can realize today, I hope it's done, and tomorrow, Monday meeting, everything is resolved. And if it continues further, it will be bringing more destruction, and the end result will remain the same. Maybe Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of 1 week, they will have to accept their terms.
Chimaji, from your lips to God's ears, I hope happened. I've got a lot of friends, and I hate to see right now they are walking to Poland as we speak. It's very sad talking to them. Harmeshji, you have the last word on this. Tell us your opinion about how this is going to end in your crystal ball.
No, I agree with Chima. There is no other option. Putin is going to take it over. And without taking over, then he has to show his face to his people too. More than 70% of Russians believe what he's doing. 70%.
Oh, gosh.
So why would he not take over the country when he knows that they are trying to arm these Ukrainians, those who have no sense? They have no power, but they are trying to empower them by giving these weapons, and they will be outnumbered by Russians. So Russia has an upper hand right now, and Russia will not give up Ukraine. Even if they agree, even if Ukraine right now says, we agree with all the conditions you have, still Russia will capture the Ukraine. And if he doesn't, then he's not Putin.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Harmeshji, because the way Ukraine is broken, the eastern part, Donetsk, Crimea, Luhansk, Kharkiv, that's all Russian speaking.
Yes.
The West, Lviv, Kyiv, Odessa, that is all Ukrainian speaking languages. So yeah. I think there's going to be a civil war, even if they come out of this between themselves. There'll be a lot of
that's what America and NATO countries, mainly America, not NATO countries. That's what America want. America wants Ukraine to be the next Afghanistan for the next 25 years.
But it will not.
It won't happen.
Well,
Go ahead.
Haji, Arunji, I would like to say that Modi understand the politics of different religious groups. And therefore, he is better understanding where India has to go. So that phase of India that you polarize the country on religious lines or language lines, as BJP was saying, Hindu Rashtra, that phase has gone in India. There is a good thing happening in India. Number two, if Chinese give some good advice to the Muslims in living areas, they send their kids to good education in schools, USA cries for human rights. Because a lot of these countries are Muslim countries, Kazakhstan, all this. And there are certain extremist groups. Now, you know that few days back, there is a coup in one country, Kazakhstan, and the Russia sent its forces. That coup was done by extremist forces. In Chechnya, there were all Muslim extremist groups. Putin handled them improperly.
In
I'm not
Bosnia,
defending that Muslims should be, but when these countries try to reform the Muslim people living in their countries in a better way, the Western always criticize them, human rights. And when Muslims attack USA on 9/11, they say, yeah, Islamic terrorist. So their philosophy is contradictory. And you know who were the framework for 9/11? Saudi Arabians. Saudi embassy is the only embassy could go only to Bush House, except any other embassy. So the philosophy of USA was always contradictory in religious terms, in political terms. And Saddam Hussein, you see, in Iraq, Shias and Sunnis were together. Now let's come to Yugoslavia. When Marshal Tito died, Europe divided Yugoslavia also.
yeah.
And if you, I was working in a 7-Eleven store, so I found a Serbian girl, very beautiful girl. They are very beautiful. No, similarly, Ukrainian women are very beautiful. I asked them, what is happening? So they were telling that we have 30% marriages in Christians and Muslims. When war took place, Gariji, the Christians, men or women, were saying this Christian government is good, and Christian women or men were saying the Muslim women, because they were mixed population. Yugoslavia was a uniting force. And last point is, I was reading what is the GDP per capita income of Ukraine. Very important. The GDP per capita income of Ukraine carries today $4,000. The Russia's GDP per capita income is $11,000. So has separation improved their living standard or not? This is a basic question. Ukrainian people became more poorer when they separated than they were with the Soviet Union as a country. Thank you.
Thank you so
okay,
much.
Arunji, you can close that one. Let me see.
All right, guys. Once again, thank you so much for such a nice, delightful conversation from him. Great ideas, man. I wish you could all be in the Foreign Affairs Committee in this country or something.
You can make it when you are senator, make us there.
Thank you so much.
Good, thank you.
Back to you, Kariji.
Thank you, Ji.
Pleasure.
Hamish Ji, I think he did a good way, even Jeevan Gill Ji also. Gupta Ji laughed at when Modi decision came there. He was laughing. Okay, let me say that according to our NRI survey, most probably people are divided every place.
Right.
In this situation, nobody talk about that. How people are suffering there. Like I think Chimaji said very good way that the leaders they know each other, but those people are fighting each other. They don't know each other. They are dying each other. They are killing each other. So that's a very good. Chimaji said it. The question comes: we did not talk about that. How people suffer small countries. We are talking about Russia, China, or the United States. you can say they are culprit. It means that you're saying like that they are the major people are playing the game every place. Actually, for the past 30 years, a lot of people have made an argument about this. We always talk about United States did did this wrong. But for the past 30 years, Ukraine has independence there, or they have a democratic country. Do they have a right to be to go their own way? No, because they are not nuclear power. Tomorrow, like Israel, they have that. Nobody can touch them. So it means that we are telling that small countries they have to be a nuclear power or something to protect themselves, like Pakistan did it. India cannot do anything to Pakistan. Similar situation, poor becomes the poor country becoming poorer and poorer at the end they are. And I think NATO is not to attack other countries. We should think about that. We can say that, oh, they are controlled by the United States because they are funding too much for that, there's a fine. But NATO is not, they can make them too, Europe countries, even small countries, like we can make a network. They are making their own network there, tomorrow nobody can attack them. So that is the situation there. I think India play a good role, you said that there, but I'm not happy that Indian students should be in other countries like that. India can open more medical colleges. Why they have to? Because they're so great country. We have a professors, we have universities, old university, all that. But they should have the more medical colleges. Why they are a dollar is going out for that? Poor country. Why? Why they have to go to Ukraine? We don't Indians have a brain? Because we are too smart. Maybe foolish. We should have that more colleges, more things there. Let other countries come to our country here. So that's anyway, at the end there, Hamesh ji, Kumar ji, he did a good job. And even Gupta ji always laugh when we come to the Modi part there. Well, thank you very much. Okay, Roji, you can close that for the final word.
Thank you so much. Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye.
Take care.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Let me close that a bit. Can you close that here? Then we can talk later. But here.